gentlemen, please welcome USBC President Frank Wilkinson.
Good morning. Good morning. Do you like me? I sure hope so. It sure seems that way. Well, good morning. We're looking forward to getting the convention continued rolling this morning. Thank you for getting up early and enjoying. Hope you had a great night last night. And this morning is some great education that you'll enjoy before we start our annual meeting today. But first, you're sitting here in a session that's going to be led by Mike Larson, the highly effective board. And you're going to have some tools to take home to help build your volunteer base, your volunteer board, to help better work together, better understand each other, how the board can effectively help your association grow and operate in a better fashion. You're going to get some tools and some tips. These are things we do practice at the national level. We have some practices and policies in place that we evaluate our board on a regular basis. Our nominating committee is charged with that job. Not only does it help our board understand the makeup of the board, but it helps us understand each other and, most importantly, about us and how we grow as individuals. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it to Mike Larson, and he's going to take you through it and enjoy the rest of the session. We'll see you this afternoon.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Highly effective board. Thanks to Frank for introducing it. He mentioned some of the tools and practices and policies that the National Board of Directors has in place for them to evaluate their board of directors. And so the highly effective board is a way to kickstart your board of directors in a sense to provide them a restart of sorts through an evaluation process. So we want to start off with a little bit of motivational piece here. Who recognizes Mr. Steve Jobs here, right? One of the most influential, most talented men of our time in the technology space. But he had an amazing quote that says, "The ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do." I think we're all a little crazy, right? We love this game more than anybody else. I know I'm a little crazy for it. But as we're going to go through the material today, take a second to think, because you're going to have moments that you're going to say, we can't do that. That's not going to work for us. You don't know, Mike, you're up there, you're doing a great job, but there's a guy in our place that he is just no way. He is not going to play this game. He is just a thorn in our side, a bump in our road, and he's been really tough for us to try to work with, and he's been challenging. All of our boards are made up of people. We're all challenging in our own way. But you're in this room because you're a leader that's been elected and assigned to come learn about how we can improve our association. So I challenge you to be a little crazy this morning and think that we can do this together. So the highly effective board, the presentation today, we're going to talk about the three elements in just a moment, but I wanted to give you some insight that this is a practice used elsewhere by many organizations, many boards of directors. They've told us, the Harvard Business Review, I think they're credible. I've heard of them before. They do a good job. They do great stuff. The meetings, boards of directors that have gone through the evaluations that we're going to discuss, this is the feedback that they have come out with as a valuable tool that really sets the precedent to move a board of directors forward. Their meetings went more smoothly. Who here would like their board meetings to go a little smoother? Got a couple hands there. Who here would like to get better information and have a greater influence with their membership? 2 for 2. Paid more attention to long-term strategy. I know Richard and I discussed the activation and getting things done yesterday. So implementing that strategy is an outcome of going through a workshop, or a evaluation, which is part of our seminar today. And so in the end, an effective board evaluation and assessment process has the potential to be transformational. Like I mentioned, we have those tough folks in our association, but through the evaluation, self-reflection, we will then identify ways to move forward with those groups. So 3 tasks: board of directors mapping, board of directors evaluation, and a member self-evaluation. These are the 3 steps that will help kickstart your association into new ground and pave the way for the future to become more effective, the highly effective board. So what does mapping mean? Last couple years, we've done this with a handful of associations actually out there, I think a couple dozen actually, where we've gone to the association and provided a survey outlet. And why would we do that? Why would we provide this survey outlet? There really is, we need to get a grip on what the makeup of our board is right now. Does it have people who have different backgrounds and skill sets? And looking at strictly the demographics, is our age makeup of all the same age? Do we have a diverse group in our board of directors when it comes to age and gender, diversity, athlete? Who here knew the national board was made up of 20% athletes? Quite a few. Bill O'Neill, Kelly Kulick, Dan Patterson, Rhino Page. Those are our national board members required by USOC for us to have 20% representation by athletes, highly engaged athletes. We are all athletes in our own right. I'm not trying to state that in any way, shape, or form. But I think I'd probably be striking a chord if I said, do we get some complaints from our higher average bowlers sometimes? Maybe. The ones who bowl all our events, the ones that complain all the time, right? Those are them. I see a handful of hands. Yeah, so our athletes, getting them engaged to be on the board is part of our duty too. We do that through a policy on the national level, but have we reached out to those bowlers who might be the complainers and said, hey, we got a way for you to get involved. If you want to help the change, be part of it. And so through the mapping, we'll identify whether we have those gaps or not. Moving on to the expertise side of things, fundraising, community relations, financial oversight, having someone on your board who has some financial background is valuably important. I think anybody here who has one of those folks on their board, might be the chair of the finance committee, they are really happy that they're there. There is nothing more important than having that. And so do you have that on your board, or do you need to look out for that? Do we need to have our nominating committee say, hey, we need to reach out to one of our members who has a financial background and ask them for support? Social media, marketing, planning and organization, anybody in event management in your association. The beauty about us all being people and being members and bowlers, we have so many of them, and they all have diverse skill sets. There'll be someone in your league who you have no idea what they do, but when you talk to them and find out, they would have a skill set through their job, through their other hobbies that would be valuable for your board to have. Personnel management, legal, just some other factors. So just different criteria that you can see here that we need to consider. We're all bowlers, members, lovers of the sport, but what other skill sets do we need to see that we would have to allow us to make our board more effective? And so we're going to show you, here's a couple other ones here, actually. Let me go back. Diversity of them with the influence. Dave mentioned the Chamber of Commerce yesterday. You could find all of these folks in a Chamber of Commerce, right? So if your association plugs in with the chamber, could you find someone in that chamber who's plugged into the community, into the financial institutions in your town? Maybe a local government leader, someone in the media, maybe somebody from the local paper. Other social groups, they're all part of those, the networks and the fabric of your community where you live, whether it's Spokane, Washington, Tampa, Florida. Those groups are there, and getting our association plugged in with them will be very valuable. So let's take a look at how this mapping would take place, okay? Here's an example form here, a blank slate, and your association, your leadership, a committee could be assigned to this, and you would go through the skill sets of all your board members and the demographics. You can see we've got male, female, age, their ethnicity backgrounds. Diversity is very important as well. Expertise, we've got the criteria there. So imagine filling out this sheet for your board of directors, and it's going to show you something like this potentially. So this is just an example. We've completely made it up. But you can see, hey, this board of directors, we got no one in the 20 to 30 range, right? And oftentimes those are tough to find, but I can assure you they're out there. Talking to them the right way will get them to be a part of it. But we've got to know that we've got a gap here. So the red lines are where this association would need to do some work in. That nominating committee could really take a look and say, hey, let's identify some people that we need to ask to be a part of our association. But we don't know until we've done this mapping tool. So evaluations, how often do we do this? We would suggest every year, but it could be every other. We've got stagger systems here that differ, 2-year terms, 3-year terms, and so that would play into some of this on how frequently this would be done. But your nominating committee, this would really become a fabric of what they do. It would be part of their policy, their process, where you've woven in, hey, we need to do an assessment. We need an evaluation of our current board based on their skill sets, age, and all those demographic elements to see, here's the makeup of our board of directors. In addition, we're going to have 2 evaluations as part of that after the mapping is over. We will be doing the self-evaluation and the board evaluation. It will be done anonymously, and there'll be a committee to lead. I kind of referenced that already. So we're going to be now evaluating our board of directors, right? So we've mapped them. We know how we stand currently, and now we need to say, we need some feedback. We need to see what our association board members feel about our board of directors. Because when we take a moment to reflect on our board, we really take a step back, you could say, and we evaluate, where do we stand? Where are we influential? And where do we need to improve? So Frank mentioned the tools that we would provide. We were going to be creating an online platform for your association to take part in these evaluations. No cost to you. We only ask for your time and passion. But these will be anonymously done. We will provide you a link where they will be done online, and they'll be answering a series of questions, which we'll get to shortly. And once we answer those questions, we will be able to then go to the analysis, which we'll get to at the end. So board member self-evaluation, first step. We recognize Mr. John Wooden here, fairly successful coach. I say fairly, I think he is the most successful coach ever. Without proper self-evaluation, failure is inevitable. I wouldn't quite say failure in this sense for our associations. We're all doing a great job as it is. But without proper self-evaluation, progress would not be possible. So anybody here ever done a self-evaluation test? Myers-Briggs or, who's got a job where they do a review of you, right? Most of us have had those. Looking at self-evaluation, it allows us to have a reminder of what is expected, right? We go on and day to day, week to week, month to month, we're running the association, we're operating the business. And to take that step back and reflect sometimes gets lost. And it's the mundane, the whirlwind, for those who were here yesterday in the afternoon, the whirlwind takes over, and we don't take a step back and reflect. So doing the self-evaluation also provides addressing specific areas of opportunity that our association can tackle. So here's some example questions. So just let me go back a step. Let's take a second. So we are now, your association has agreed to take part in this. And not agreed, you're excited to take part in this. And you really believe that we're going to have an evaluation process this summer where it's going to really set up the foundation for our next season. We're going to take part in this. All of our board members are excited, and we're going to do some reflection, self-reflection. So you're at home, you're on the computer, and you're doing some deep thinking. And that self-evaluation, you'll be answering questions like this: my engagement at board and committee meetings is appropriate, not too much, not too little. I'm in the game. And so you'll rank these on a scale as part of your evaluation. So on my board of directors, if I disagree with the board's decision, I refrain from saying so outside of the board or committee meetings. You'll rate these. I recognize the board must speak with one voice and avoid speaking for the board or taking action on issues unless instructed by the board to do so. Deep reflection. You will think back to the meetings and the conversations you've had as a board member, and man, did I do that? Do I feel that way? You'll take those few moments to think deeply about your influence on the board, your activity on the board, how you handle yourselves in meetings, how you speak for the board when you're out talking to bowlers. When you're bowling league, how much are you thinking about your place as a board member and being recognized as that while bowling league? We've got a couple more here for you. I help keep the board focused on fiduciary and major strategic matters rather than trivial administrative matters. How are we spending our time? in board meetings? Are they on the major strategic pieces? Are they event planning? Or are we spending a lot of time worried about things that are, in the end, not going to be super impactful for our association? Self-reflection, time to analyze internally. I constantly work to recruit volunteers and recommend individuals to service to the board. Have I ever asked anybody to be on the board? It's as simple as that. But these questions, your fellow board members, possibly not sitting here today, your association takes part in this. All of them will internalize and take these questions and really provide an in-depth analysis of themselves as a board, all in the effort to move them forward. Last one, I constantly work to grow in my areas of strength to be a greater value to the board and the association. Do I think just showing up is good enough? None of us here can say that. But do we have some in our association level who, if they helped answer these questions in the comfort of their own home, anonymously, would they answer these in a way that really made them reflect? And I can assure you that next meeting after you do an evaluation like this, you're going to have some people re-energized because they've done some looking back, some reflecting. Extremely impactful. I mentioned at the beginning with Mr. Jobs' quote, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. All my Detroiters in the house, right? Whoop, whoop. Mr. Henry Ford said that quote. I mean, just the power of positivity in that statement is so profound. So while you're sitting there thinking, hey, I still got that board of director, Charlie, he's just not in it. He's not in the game. If your board can rally around him, pull them together, and have the evaluations done as a group, there's so much good that can come from this. So next is the board of directors evaluation. So step 3, right? We've done the mapping. We've done the self-analysis. We've answered those questions. And now we want to take a look at the board of directors evaluation. So it's me, how I feel our board is doing as a whole. Our family, our association here in town. How are we doing together, collectively? Mr. Wooden again, he says, failure is not fatal, but failure to change might be. So we need to kickstart it, restart it. So doing the board of directors evaluation, it reveals current state of board functions, roles, and responsibilities. We had a great workshop a couple years ago about roles and responsibilities of boards of directors. A lot of great, very applicable pieces that hopefully you have taken home and put into place. But additionally, this evaluation kickstarts those. It says, hey, where are we current state in our association, and how do we move it forward? It also provides focus for addressing the specific areas of opportunities. I would only hope that everybody in their journal this week has those areas of opportunities that they have found this week through either a networking workshop from a neighbor of a new opportunity of something they're doing that you want to take home and do, or something from someone presenting in one of the workshops. There's definitely something in an opportunity in your association, and having your board members all go through an evaluation of the board, you will come to light on where they think those opportunities are. So some of the questions for the board of directors evaluation. Does your board have clear goals and actions resulting from relevant and realistic strategic planning? Or are we in the whirlwind every day? How I like to put it. Does your board effectively represent the association and USBC value proposition to the community? Do they? This is our chance to anonymously say, does our board do that? Do I believe our board does that? On a scale, 1 to 5. Who here was in the Why Certify workshop yesterday? A good number of you. I believe there's one more actually coming up, so some of you might be getting ready to attend that. Think about this. That value proposition of USBC, all of us as USBC, the value in our membership, so proud to be a part of it and express that. But do the rest of our board members feel comfort in that? Are they able to articulate that to our members? You might be sitting there thinking to your last board meeting and it was back and forth and someone saying, well, I don't know what USBC does. I don't get it. Everything you do for USBC is what USBC does. But if your board members are not able to articulate that and reflect that and share that with the membership, to the bowlers, to your community, you might rate this one not so high. but this gives us the chance to evaluate and see what the rest of our board believes collectively. Each member of the board appears to be involved and interested in the board's work. I don't have enough fingers to count how many times I go to a meeting and I'm like, the 5 of us do all the work every time. We got 36 board members and all 5 of us do all the work every time. Anybody else? Anybody ever heard that? Yeah. So we have all the 5 of you here. I think that's what I heard. Yeah. But evaluation, board reflection, this comes out in this type of feedback. This anonymous survey, this is where this information can come to light to your board. We need help in certain places. This is where we'll find it out. A couple more questions for you. So these are just examples. There's roughly 20 to 30 questions on each one. So we're probably looking for half an hour of your time. I say we. Your board is looking for half an hour of your time to complete the evaluation. So a few more for you. There's an adequate number of well-functioning board and committees and other work groups. We got that one committee that every year doesn't do anything. Maybe that's a notch down on the level. So this is all your opportunity to provide feedback on how you believe the association's doing. Board culture is encouraging and welcome to open discussion, even when members disagree. I didn't say all the questions would be easy, but they let the real truth come out. How does your board culture, who's ever thought about board culture on your association? A couple of us, yeah. Culture in associations, in any fashion, any work group, anywhere, is so important, because if you don't feel like you're part of the culture and respect and appreciate the culture, you resist. So this might shed some light. Hey, we need to work on our board culture. We need our board to get together more frequently outside of the business aspect and become stronger, united front in a trust sense of fashion, because we now have done some things together. I know we've done some stuff at the office where we're trying to build some stronger culture amongst teams. Anybody gone to an escape room with a group of folks before? We done that? Everybody else is like, what the heck is that? So escape room, they take you to a place and you get put into a scenario, and you're basically troubleshooting different questions and scenarios to move through a maze as a group. And so it's constant collaboration on something that is completely outside everyone's wheelhouse. So everyone's a little vulnerable and unsure, but the only way you succeed is by trusting one another and working together. So building a culture. And so I'm not saying your group's got to go find the next escape room, but there's a chance that your board might want to look at doing some things off the lanes outside the boardroom for them to become stronger and more of a cohesive unit. But if we don't have those conversations and say, hey, if our board's already got great culture, maybe it's something we don't work on. But if this is a weak point, we might want to consider doing something about it. Last one here. So the board is attentive to building leadership capacity on both board and staff. Do we have training for our association manager, for them to become stronger in their functions? Our president, vice presidents, those who want to become future leaders of our boards of directors, do we have any training programs for them? Anything that we can provide to those folks? Who here read the State of the Union by Chad Murphy this January? A couple folks. We're going to talk about it. He's going to wind up talking about it a little more during his speech on Thursday morning, but we've already publicized we're going to be conducting Association Leadership Academy at the International Bowling Campus for our associations. Complementary. The value in training our leaders of our associations is immense, and we have not done a great job of providing that. So we will be providing complimentary Association Leadership Academy training this summer. Over the next 5 years, we plan to roll in every association in the country to be a part of that. So who are the next leaders in your association who you believe should be a part of this training? But these questions will allow you to answer whether you're doing any of that now. So now that you've done the evaluations, right? We've done the self-reflection, we've done the board evaluation, we got all this information. What do we do with it? It's one thing to gather data, but if it just sits there and never gets analyzed and looked at, then it was for naught. Analysis provides the needed direction. So here's the first example. Example question. So this is one that we went through, or this is a different one than the one we went through before. So the board regularly monitors financial performance and projections. 83% agree or strongly agree. I think we're doing pretty good. So this association their board feels very strongly that they're doing well in that. They're making budgets, they're meeting their financial goals for the year, they're fundraising appropriately, and everybody knows it. That's what the evaluation will tell. Does everyone have the same information? So this is somewhat of a success for one, and we hope your association has these answers woven throughout. Sometimes the answer might not be so shiny and bright. So example question number 2, your board has an emergency succession plan for the association manager. We've got 5 that strongly disagree, 5 disagree, 1's not so sure, and then 2 that do agree. And so maybe your manager and president in this example, they know we have something in place, we have a policy, but the rest of the board does not. This gap is shown. It's known. The board now sees it. Hey, do we have a plan in place? If not, clearly, now we have the action steps needed to go put one in place if that's something that we have a risk of. If we feel like there's a risk of us having needing a new association manager, we can put something in place to accomplish it. Whether that's reaching out and grabbing or putting out applications for a new manager, who's the committee that would take charge of the hiring process, all of that might be in place, but most of the folks on this board don't know that. They don't know what they would do. You might be sitting in the room thinking to yourself, man, what would happen if so-and-so left? If Dahlia moved to New York or something, right? She lives in Florida, so I couldn't say she'd move to Florida like everybody else does. But what if so-and-so retired, wanted to move in with, back to wherever home was, or move in with the family? What if? So this is a what if question. And is your board prepared to do the what if? The evaluation will help us do that. And really, not like I said, not the evaluation, the analysis will help us do that. Your board collectively going through the results and identifying what the board feels, what the board knows, and where the board needs to focus some attention in the future. Another example, the board helps set fundraising goals and is actively involved in fundraising. Got 2 strongly agree, 4 agree, 3 not sures, 3 agree, and 2 strongly agree. Pretty even, right? What does this tell us? Someone's got a phone call. That's what that tells me. This tells us our board is very fragmented on this topic. Maybe the folks that agree and strongly agree are on our Ways and Means Committee. Maybe that group really knows what it is. Your other board members who are not on that committee don't have a clue. But it provides an opportunity for us to now put it on the table so everybody can see it. Here's what we say. So what information do we need to share so that everybody gets us back on the same page, playing from the same playbook? Because right now we're possibly not in some areas. And so that's what this evaluation will provide and the analysis with it. So the benefits of doing this, some of you are probably sitting there thinking, Mike, I still don't know. I still got Charlie back at home, and he's just, man, I'm not so sure. I want to walk you through some of the benefits of this. Doing an evaluation, both self-reflection and board evaluation, it can change your life. It really can. I'll tell a quick story. I went and took some classes 2 or 3 years ago, and I had never done anything like this, right? So I wasn't, I didn't grow up doing, every year I just reflect on myself, and it's just so wonderful, right? No one does that, right? We go through life, and we've got stuff to do, but I had an opportunity to take some classes with some other people and to try to build my education base, my knowledge. And to start the whole thing, we did an evaluation. That's how it started. So I did a self-evaluation, and then my coworkers, my friends and colleagues, Mr. Donahue, Mr. Prang, Robin Marshall, they evaluated me anonymously, but they provided evaluation of myself. Never done something like that before. Usually, just the boss, right? Your boss gives you the year-end evaluation. But this was a chance for my colleagues and coworkers who I have potential influence over, but also influence with. How do I work with them? Because I work with them every day. I don't work with the boss every day, but I work with my colleagues every day, and how I work with them is similar to how you and your board work, right? We're all on the same team. You might have a president, you might have some vice presidents, association manager, a lot of directors, but that's one team. And so through the evaluation, I had to sit back and look and say, man, what are they saying about me that I need to then digest and reflect on that will allow me to become a better coworker, a better friend, a better colleague. So that evaluation for me, like I said, it can change your life. I mean, just the way you interact with people. The program that I was part of, they said, class on Saturday, ROI on Monday, right? Return on investment. I would go to work the next week after classes on Saturday, and unbelievable. The perception you have will change. The way you interact with people, the way you observe others interacting with other people will entirely change due to the evaluation you've done. You've taken a step back, maybe a couple, and taken a good look. So how are we doing? Man, when I see so-and-so working with so-and-so, Charlie and Sheila, there's just always that thing. They don't jive. It's like they speak different languages. One's French Canadian and one's from the deep South, and it doesn't work. So, but they're really speaking English, right? So how do we get them on the same page? But you'll observe differently because you've gone through the evaluation. And you said that a little bit of the story of where I've gone in that and the experience I had, and it changed how I interact with everybody. So I encourage your board to consider all of these benefits. We're going to go through them here. Leadership benefits, right, to your organization. It sets the performance tone and culture. To your board, benefits of going through an evaluation, the leadership potential for your board. Effective president demonstrates leadership to the rest of the world, to the rest of the board. Hey, maybe to the world. You never know. No Trump jokes today, right? I think that's where everybody's head went with that one. I'm in the middle. I'm an independent, right? You can see the benefits to your leadership here on all levels. Demonstrates to the directors a commitment to improvement at an individual level. That reflection, you will get more out of your board of directors once they've done an evaluation, both self and board. Role clarity. And how many times is it, hey, I thought Charlie was doing that. I thought Patsy was doing that. How many times does that come up, right? Patsy's down here, she's like, I do it all, Mike, don't you know? Yeah. Role clarity will be improved due to the evaluation. Open book of what the board is working on and focusing on to your organization. Enables clear distinction between roles of the manager and the volunteer board. The board needs help, the association manager needs help sometimes from their board, but doesn't say anything, and instead gets to the end of a program or a tournament, and we're weeks behind. If we had more role clarity through an evaluation, we would know we need support up front, not at the end. A lead measure, you could say, not a lag measure. Teamwork. I mentioned earlier, I said the word team. We're all a team. We're a family. So how does it help improve that doing this evaluation? It'll build your board, the association manager, and the volunteer relationships. The willingness and openness to communicate more frequently instead of having that sidebar conversation. We like to call it the meeting after the meeting, right? You have the board meeting, and then the 3 other people have the meeting afterwards and discuss what was just discussed with the whole group. Yeah, that comes from a lack of teamwork. So doing the evaluation, we want to keep that information amongst the whole board so it's not a sidebar conversation afterwards of talking about what we just agreed upon as a board. Building trust between board members. That's kind of the essence of teamwork. And for your directors, clarifies expectations. I think early on when we were talking about the board not knowing where and what they were supposed to do, especially in the case of a new board member. I don't know what my roles are. They tell me just to come to meetings and tournaments, right? In a nutshell, many of us might raise our hand that that's kind of what we need them for. They don't even understand exactly all the time how many meetings it is and when the tournaments are. But we need to engage them in ways, and doing the board evaluation will bring that to light. Clarifying expectations for your board members, super impactful, so they know when they're needed, where and when they're needed, and when they're there, they're fully there. They're all the way there. They're not just kind of there. Accountability. This was mentioned yesterday in the workshop with Richard too. Sometimes can be a scary word. I look at it as a way to be a bright word. Accountability means we're getting stuff taken done, or we're getting things done. We're taking care of business. And we're giving the Elvis Presley, taking care of business. That's what accountability is. We're checking off the list of accomplishments. The accountability and accomplishments kind of go in this hand in hand. So to the organization, it'll improve stakeholder relationships, improve your governance standards, clarifies the delegation of work. To your board, focuses the attention on the duties to the stakeholders. To the directors, sets the expectations again. Some of these are overlapping, but they all are part of the fabric that this board evaluation can provide. A couple more: decision making. Getting to a consensus at times can be very difficult. When you don't have a consensus, that leads to the meeting after the meeting, right? Those are the toughest parts. So if we have more clarity in our decision making amongst our board at the time, and everybody's understanding on the same page, then you don't have the meeting after the meeting. Everybody internally in the board meeting is on the same page, and they have the information from everybody to allow all the questions and answers to come to light so that you walk away one united group. So it improves the decision-making process by building more unity. Communication. This gets said probably in every board meeting, every annual meeting. We just need better communication, right? It's become almost a buzzword in a sense. What is communication? To me, communication is more about being willing and able than actually speaking the words. Wanting to listen is so much of a part of this. So improve stakeholder relationships in your organization. Improve the association manager relationship with your board. A lot of times that association manager, they're holding all the information, right? A lot of them are doing most of the work. What are we needing them to provide to us as a board? We talked about expectations quite a bit. What are the expectations from the manager to the board? Does the manager know what those expectations are? Or does it just say, well, just, provide a report? Well, what do you want in the report? All of these things can come out in an evaluation that, hey, we have gaps in what's being expected versus what's being provided. To the directors in communication, it builds the personal relationships between those boards of directors. It allows that teamwork to really take place. Last one, just overall board operations, right? So to the organization, it ensures an appropriate top-level policy framework to exist to guide the organization. We've got policies and procedures in place, but we just kind of fly by. I remember some of the gentlemen from Wichita Falls, I was at a meeting with them doing some evaluations a couple months back, and they said, hey, we get it done, right? We get the work done. But I'm sure that they were having meeting after the meeting at the time, because you have the meeting and then the 5 would stay after and get all the work done, right? So board operations will improve because of going through the steps of self-evaluation and board evaluation. So here's the 7 pieces: leadership, role clarity, teamwork, accountability, decision-making, communication, and board operations. All will improve because we go through an evaluation. We take that step back, sometimes 2 or 3. Who here would like to improve these steps in their association? Yeah, I thought so. So, anybody seen one of these? Right? Whoever's got a phone at times that they got to reset, right? Yeah. Control-Alt-Delete, right? Who's used that? Yeah. And I don't mean to get out of WinLab's program because something's not working. But sometimes we need a reset, right? Just like a computer. There's circuit boards. There's so much involved in this tiny little thing in my pocket. It's unbelievable how much goes on in here and how much we can do with it. Your board's no different. This is just a little Steve Jobs made this little thing, right? But we've got people, our most powerful asset. Board of directors of 10, 15, 20. Passionate people. But sometimes we need a little reset. Sometimes we need to shut down, digress, and reconnect the circuit boards to allow us to be impactful moving forward and more of a cohesive unit, a family, a team, steering our board forward, supporting and servicing bowling like we know we can. So if this little guy needs a reset, or your blue screen of death here needs a little reset, sometimes we do too. Because we've been doing this probably for more than 1 or 2 years. We've been day to day. I've been on the board for 10 years. John, how long have you been on the board? Yeah. How many years? He doesn't have enough fingers either. Over 50. Sometimes we got to step back and evaluate so we can then help lead. You know, Mr. Wooden's quotes earlier, if we don't do the reflection and evaluation, we can't improve. We will keep doing the same thing we're doing. So the 4 steps, well, I got a 4th here. I've added that one, which we're going to get to. So board of directors mapping, evaluation tool of where we stand today, the makeup of our board. Number 2, self-evaluation. Me personally, your board members at home personally taking a good look internally how their impact on the board is going, what they are doing to be a board member and what that means to them. What are they giving? What are they taking? Christine Cashin last year, she said, you want to be a funnel or a spout of water. Do you want to be the faucet or the drain? Are you pouring in or are you taking out? They want to see you coming or want to see you going? You guys remember that one? So that self-evaluation will do that. A good hard look. They'll answer those questions, and you'll take a second. And that internal evaluation, it can change someone's life. And then your board of directors evaluation, looking at our collective group as a whole. How are we doing? And so next steps. Who wants to play this? Okay. Who wants to play? So I actually have some takeaways for you, literal takeaways. I want you to register to sign up, okay? Now, I understand your board of directors, you collectively as a group have to decide to really want to do this, and you got Charlie and Sheila at home or just, they're just negative Nancy's or not. They're not going to do it. They're not in. We don't think they're in. We need you to get them in. We need your board to commit to going through a board of directors evaluation and a self-evaluation as part of this program to make your board highly effective. We strongly believe that this can change your association. You heard Frank reference it, that they do it on the national level where they're evaluating the board makeup, and then doing self-evaluations every year. Super impactful. The board continuity, the less meetings after the meetings will take place because of this, I can assure you. It'll be done anonymously online, and we're here to help you along the way. I'm not going to take questions today, but we want our association development team, the regional managers, we want to help you do this. Richard Stewart, our director of education and training now, he wants to provide this. He's the one that came up with this material and said, Mike, we've got to get our associations working on this. He's here with us for a few months. He went and visited a handful of associations. He went out to Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri. He went out to Utah. Heck, before he started working there, he called Kay Smith in Texas and said, how can I help? I'm interviewing for a position with USBC to be the director of training and education. What do you need help with? Her answer was leadership training. This is a step to do that, right? So we want our associations to go out and be a part of this evaluation process so you can rewire that circuit board, restart your association. And like I said, we're here to assist along the way. I got a question. Has anybody mentioned that they want one of these jerseys this week? Yeah, holy cow. The shirt off my back. I'm literally holding them. When we're kicking this around, we're like, what's the value in our associations doing this? I think it's way more than a shirt, than a jersey, but this is what you're going to get. Your association takes part in our evaluation. It is worth us to provide your association, your entire board, a jersey of your choice. Okay? Yeah. It's worth every nickel for our associations out there who want to become better, become great, to go through the highly effective board training and do an evaluation. So this is a picture of McHenry County Association. We got anybody from McHenry County in the house? Woo! I saw the gentleman yesterday at the welcome reception. He was wearing the shirt, the jersey last night. Looked pretty good. Who here's looking down at their shirt? I'm like, I want one of those, right? Like I said, last night, Dave, George, and I were debriefing a little bit. It was about 9:30 last night, and I said, "Hey, how many folks asked you for your shirt?" And they were like, "I can't count. At least 20 or 30, like tons." So while yes, these are very nice, and I also said to a couple folks who have asked, I said, "Do you want to answer all the questions? Then you can wear the shirt today, right?" I said, "But to stand out for the staff purpose, to stand out and you know who we are, we don't want to be providing these yet. But I'm sure many of these will make their ways into your association over the next couple months through our state meetings and whatnot to provide them to you as gifts and thank yous for coming." But what I'm trying to get to is that we are investing in our associations because we believe the board evaluation going through this, if your association completes these, does the evaluations, we're going to be providing you with the jersey. It's going to have your own logo on there. You can see McHenry County right on the chest there. We'll be doing the same thing with your association. You'll get your own jersey. I would love nothing more than to see a room full of jerseys next year, right here. Wouldn't that be sweet? Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think?
Where do we sign up?
Oh! How about that? So in the back, well, before we get to that, for those that might not have clapped or weren't quite sure yet, one last takeaway thought. We cannot become what we want to be by remaining what we are. We want to become great. We want to become more influential. We want to become more informed. Let's restart it. Okay? So where do we get started? So in the back, as you exit, Mr. Tom and David have board sign-up forms, okay? We're asking you to take them and sign up and then provide them back to us. You can give them back to Tom, you can give them back to any of the staff members, and we'll be collecting them. And then we will be contacting you to sign up, and we'll be providing you the link to have your association go through the evaluation form, and we're going to work with you each step of the way. So like I said, Tom and Dave have the registration forms in the back. Be sure to take one. If they run out for some reason, which would be wonderful, I couldn't be happier. Email myself or email Richard Stewart, and we will get you signed up. We want, like I said, we want every association in the country to do this. It's a pretty good start if we go in this room, right? So thank you all for your time and your passion. Remember, if there are items in today that you'd like to take away, write them on the share wall, and we'll see you later. Thank you.